Hello, here we are again. Welcome. I'm Claire. This is Purple Poppy, and today I've come to share two journals that are ready to find their new homes. So let's concentrate on this one first. And as you can see by the way it's bouncing when I touch it, it's really tactile, this one. It's got lots of lace and fabric and all sorts of things going on with it. So as you can see, it's a fabric cover, and on the cover we've got some coffee dyed cotton, we've got some lace, there's a piece of a doily here and one of my rusty paper clips. Safety pin. That's a safety pin, Claire, not a paper clip. I've told you before about how I just have a old baking tin in the garden, natural rain, and they just rust themselves. It's held closed with coffee dyed cotton that I have stitched some seam binding to, just to give it added strength and a different look. And that wraps all the way around, and you can see I've stitched through this fabric cover. Now this fabric cover is 4 layers. You've got a layer of felt, you've got the cotton outer cover, you've got cheesecloth, and then you've got the coffee dyed cotton on the inside. Okay, so although it's fabric, it's very strong fabric because there's 4 layers of it. Plus on the front here you've got some cotton, some broderie anglaise, some extra lace. This is a scanned image of the front of the Strand magazine collection in a book that I own, and that is, I think, early 1900s. And you can see, if I sort of flop it open in the centre, I've then stitched on the machine through all of those layers, so it's all completely joined, it's not going anywhere, but it's very tactile. Okay, the tie is not connected in any shape, form or description. That will come completely off. And then if we open up this first page, you'll see the stitching that's come through from the outside. This is part of an old shirt. I've opened the button at the top to make it slightly wider. These buttons will open if you want to open them, and it's just part of an old shirt, and I've left it screwed up as it was, but I've made it into a pocket, and in the pocket is this original postcard photograph, and I've just put some fabric and a piece of doily over the corner there. Okay, and then on this page, this is coffee dyed graph paper, as you can see, and there is a stitched fabric ruffle there. But in front of that, the tiny page, this is actually the flyleaf of a book, so it's very thick textured paper, and it's got some natural aging to it. This book is full of vintage and antique original ephemera. Okay, so you've got a vintage photo there, you've got a vintage bus ticket. This is just a jelly print that I did, and this is some cheesecloth, and it's plain on the back. You've got your ruffle, as I say, and that comes over. You can hear the lovely noise. Here you've got coffee dyed paper, rusty paper clip, which I probably can't get off now, can I? Yes, I can. So, rusty paper clip, okay. You've got a little die cut bow. And this is vintage ledger. If we open it out, you can see it's an envelope shape, but I've not sealed it. So you could seal it if you wanted to. Okay. We haven't, and we've got August 21st. We haven't actually got a year on this, but this book is 1926. I've left the bottom corner open so that you could use it as a tuck spot. And I've tried to fill this book with all the things that Grandma would have kept. I've called it Grandma's Journal. So, you know, this might have been a ledger page from where she worked, perhaps during her working time. This may have been something one of the children gave her, the grandchildren. And then under that paperclip is a photograph that I've taken of a vintage button card with some fabric with some pins in. This is actually the 1923 paper pattern to do cut work sewing, and it comes out of that 1923 magazine. And I just laid them all together, took a photograph and made it into like a journal card, and it's got nice rust marks on it now where it's been under that paper clip. This is a vintage book page, yeah, and this is from my family, my Cassell's family book, just a little fabric tab, and I've glued it and folded it to that point so that you can see underneath there's a decorative envelope that I've done with dried leaves and coffee dyeing and stitching, and I've made that a tag, you know, tuck spot for this journaling card there. Okay, that goes over there like that, and that's on packaging paper, all things that Grandma may have had. Coffee dyed paper. Now this piece of paper here is the front cover of that banking book that I had that you've seen many times, and it was torn and ripped because it's very old. Okay, all the vintage things obviously will have some damage, they're not going to be new, but I've put on this side to help with that tear a 1911-1912 income tax, house duty and land tax sheet. This is original. It's over 100 years old, so it's antique. Beautiful, beautiful writing, and the 3 columns for the old money. And then that's just an advert out of my Home Chat magazine. This is coffee dyed paper. This is an inked and stamped piece that I did, that I have attached to the back of this picture from my ship's book, and I've just made it into a pocket, and I've made this large journaling card from, you know, collaged pieces, and that just sits in there. And this picture is just beautiful. You've got, you know, the old style boat. You can tell by the clothes that people are wearing the age that that would have been drawn or etched, really, wouldn't it, that one? And then stuck to the other side of that, you've got an Edith Holden page. And then this is a page out of a vintage children's book. And that side's some music. This is a large tag that I made as part of my new Somerset studio book, Lynn Moncrief style. So you've got, you know, green and brown ink dyed on the back. You've got some green dyed cloth. There's a leaf stamp on a dictionary piece, rusty paperclip and cheesecloth. And I've done it again, haven't I? Rusty safety pin held on by a rusty paperclip. Coffee dye paper. Now this again is an original vintage paper. I believe it's 1895. It's a really long piece, so as we go through you'll see the other side in a minute. Completely blank for journaling on. Okay, this is some fabric. It's part of an old tablecloth. You see the beautiful cut work that's gone on here, and I've attached this to a piece of card. And then on the back of the card, excuse me, there's coffee dyed paper, and this is the original spine from a 1900s Royal English Dictionary. And I've just tucked this pretty piece underneath. You can see I've cut and put lace and stitched, so that's just in there. And then on this side there's this little coin envelope. There isn't anything in there. This was received in Happy Mail, as was this picture, and I just thought the two greens sat very well together. This is a modern paperclip with a little charm on it. And this is a copy of a vintage postcard, but I thought because of the green stamp, that just tucked in there quite nicely. And then if we come over, this is coffee dyed paper, and I've made a pocket with various pieces of lace. So you've got coffee dyed lace. This is a flower that I've chipped out of a dress, coffee dyed lace, and again there. And then inside this pocket, this is an original vintage essay page, and this was also received in Happy Mail. That's beautiful, isn't it? You can feel by the paper when things are truly vintage. And then here I've done a journal card. Now this is a piece of that same blouse or shirt that was at the front. It's another piece of doily. There's a vintage bus ticket, rusty safety pin, and a copy of a vintage photo, journal space on the back. So that sits in there. And then you've got more coffee dyed paper here with a lace edge. And this is the vintage broad anglais pattern, similar to the one that was in the front there. And here is some coffee dyed broad anglais fabric with a bow. And again, this yellowy paper, this is the dust page from a book. You've got another vintage letter here. You can see here, this is to John Pavell Esquire in Bristol of 142 Redland Road. The handwriting is delightful. I think, oh there you go, on this 26th day of April 1911. I've just folded it over and I've put some coffee dyed lace on there. And here we've got a large piece of Battenberg lace. This is out of a tablecloth. If you've been with me a while, you'll have seen this tablecloth before. And this is another photograph I've taken using, you know, bits and pieces that I've got. Made it into a journaling card. I did show you this a long time ago about how to sort of take photographs of things you own to make your own digikits. And then on the back, I've folded one of these vintage pages from that Cassell's family book, and I've glued it so that you've got a pocket there and a pocket there. And then there's a cotton ruffle on a Home Chat magazine page sitting there, and then again another one with a piece of coffee dyed lace there. And you can see Home Chat, November 27, 1897. It's more than 100 years old. It's fabulous. Here is another page from that book, 1897, 27th November again. But more excitingly, really, is, oh no, that's further on. So I put a pocket on here. Need a little bit of extra glue under that corner pocket there. Just put a little bit of extra glue. For some reason that didn't completely adhere. There you go, dealt with that. There's two tags in here. This one is a floral background with some vintage book page, and that's an image of probably 1920s ladies. And this is again that same floral paper book page, and it's like a, well, again, probably 20s or 30s ladies camping with their dog. And then here I've got this weird flip. Okay, so this is an envelope. I've coffee stained it. I've tried to do old style writing, and inside there is a copy that I've aged up of a journal page, and I sort of put holes in there and inked it up to look really vintage. Okay, and that just folds up like that, and that goes in that envelope. And I used the wide part of my tearing ruler to make the envelope look like it had been torn open. And that on the back is some packaging paper that I've just stuck on 3 sides to make a pocket. And there's just an interesting piece of ephemera in there. Here, this is actually the cover of an old music book, and I've done this like fabric collage. So we've got some stamped fabric under there, we've got some doilies, some lace, more stamped fabric, more lace. This is a vintage pillowcase, and I've scrunched it up on a safety pin, more stamped fabric, and it's all been stitched onto a backboard, and then it's been glued to this music book cover, Schreimer's Library of Musical Classics. And then there's some parchment paper, some coffee dyed paper that I've glued shut. I remember now, I glued shut to hold in the strings just for a bit of interest. And then obviously we're going back the other way, so that's the music book. There's some more of this Battenberg lace here, and that's on some packaging paper. There's another page from this Home Chat 1897. This is the one, and this is the front dust sheet inside that book. Look at that beautiful aging, and it just feels delightful. Coffee dyed newsprint with a rusty paper clip, and under the paper clip is, well, take that off. This is Will's cigarette cards from the Royal Family collection. So you've got Queen Elizabeth and, oh my goodness, her sister. I can't think of her name. Oh, that's really bad, Claire. Princess Elizabeth and Margaret. Elizabeth and Margaret, of course. And then this is one of the castles. And this is the king checking the navel. And then here again, you've got King George, Queen Elizabeth. And then here you've got the whole royal family, and this is just obviously the collection card from that book. I can't believe I forgot Princess Margaret's name. That's very bad. Okay, and then this is the back end of that letter that we read, 27th day of April 1911. That's that one. That's the back of that dust page from that book, and the Bordeaux Anglaise pattern. And it actually says here, I think, oh, you can't see it, but I think the date was on that. Perhaps the date's on another part of it. And then you've got some coffee dyed paper here with a rusty paper clip and a vintage photograph. And then I've just put a journaling card under that paper clip with lots of fabric on it. And that's all joined at the middle and stitched through, so it's not coming off, but it is loose and very, very tactile. And then here, this is a giant bag pocket that again I received in Happy Mail with the pressed flowers. I just think it's beautiful. And again, it may be an activity that Grandma did with the children, and she's kept it as a memory. You've got a ruffle down that side, and that flips out, and I've just done a hinge of a pretty pattern, so that, look, the florals on both sides. You've got beautiful stained coffee dyed page there, and that comes back, and then inside is another one of those Lynn McCreef inspired giant tags. So that goes inside that bag. It's quite a big bag, you could get a lot more things in there. And then we come over, and I've just done a notebook big with some fabric, and I've put one of these bulldog clips on because there's not a lot of journaling space in here. There's an awful lot of things to look at, but not a lot of journaling, so I've put that. You've got a little bit of space there for some journaling. This is part of that very old dictionary that the spine is from. And this is a bag, and I've just put all sorts of bits and pieces in here. So there's another one of those die bows. There's a journaling card with some red ruffle down the side. There's a Wee Willie Winkle image. There's some pink card, and there's a Tiffany lamp with an old diary. So they all just sit in that pocket for you to have a play with. And then when we come over, we've got another ruffle, top of a music page. There's coffee dyed parchment and coffee dyed paper. And then this is the front of that paper that I showed you before, the Leek Division of the County of Stafford, 1895. It's all vintage and antique. And then here, it's coffee dyed paper, and I've just put dress pattern fabric paper on it. I've put a button card and sewn some buttons, and then there's 3 little pins, they're in the photograph, in that fabric. And there's also a bit of fabric lace under there, and I've glued it all together to make some interest. Music page, there's a back of that stamped and inked page. There's a faux postcard, this is not a real one. Coffee dyed paper, and that's a pocket, and there's just a little coin envelope in there that you can use, and there's some ephemera on some vintage paper in that little pocket. This is the other side of that loans sheet, and you can see if you gently roll that down, it says September 1959. It's probably the most modern piece of vintage ephemera in here. There's the third one of those giant Lynn McCree style tags, again with a rusty paper clip, and this again is a jelly print, just decorative paper there. You've got your packaging paper with a fabric ruffle, and then on the other side you've got another one of these pockets, and there's 2 more of these tags. Again, this is multicoloured splash dab paper, and then you've got the vintage book page and a vintage lady plain tennis, and then again the same here, only this time you've got probably a childminder like a nanny and a baby, and they sit in there. There's the graph paper, that's that dust cover, you can really feel it here. And then here on the very back I have loosely stitched, so you can easily snip that and take it out. There's a slow stitch panel of red fabrics with champagne, black and red thread. You got some velvet and some calico and all of that there. And then this is the collar of that same shirt, and that is Grandma's journal. Lovely, 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 lovely. I'll tie her up later on, because the other one that I have for you is this one. Now this one is going to struggle to fit on the camera, I think. It's tall skinny, as you can see. It was inspired and made with Crafty Cat's Sherlock, no, Holmes Cases for Carol or something like that. Amy at Crafty Cat teamed up with Carol Laws, and they did a collaboration with Sherlock Holmes. So I have used Amy from Crafty Cat's kit. I've also used Tracy Fox's crime kit. There's some papers in here from My Porch Prints, and I've used pages from this Jack the Ripper book as well. Lots going on in here. Now I wanted this to look like it was something that had been handled and tossed around for a long time. So this orangey yellow piece is actually a large envelope, and I spent a lot of time putting rips and tears and folds in it that I inked up, because I wanted it to look well thumbed, well used. And these are all pieces out of Kat's kit. that I've made a large collage from. When you rub your hand over it, you can feel the difference, you know, in the heights. And I use that to go onto the envelope for the cover. Now this has had 3 coats of gel matte medium, so although it's paper and glue, it's quite firm. I've used this rusty bulldog clip, hold it all together, you know, like to show its age and just imply that it was just held together very matter of fact and not prettily or overly loved. It was just information to be held. And when you look at it this way, it's like looking in a filing cabinet, because you've got all of these tabs running through, taking you to the various pieces of information. Okay, so let's make sure you're on screen, only just. We open it up. All of these pages are double-sided prints. I've done them on 160 Navigator, so it's surprisingly heavy for its size. So these are pages from Amy's kit. I've put a Tim Holtz, you know, one of these file tucks here, and I've put some of the photos into these, you know, photo holders, and just slotted them in there. That's where we're keeping those pictures. When we come over, I actually made, before I saw Tracy's kit, I actually made an evidence envelope, just, you know, coin style, and I've inked it up on the outside, and inside you've got these pictures of people that are, you know, of interest. It's part of the evidence of a particular case, and everything in here has paper clips on. Well, I say everything, 90% of stuff, so that you can move it all around to suit yourself. And then here we've got a pocket from packaging paper, and there's 2 different pieces of the kit decorating that up. And then there's old ledger page there, and I've made a tag with page from the Jack the Ripper book, and that's a Shabby Dabby Doodah street label. So it just shows the type of streets, you know, that Jack the Ripper would have been walking around in. And then as we come over, these are pages from the kit again. And then over here, this is my porch prints, the skeleton. Thought that was fitting. And then we've got one of these Tim Holtz file folders. And just open it up, and I put some case information in here just for fun and interest. And then this is a huge Sherlock and Watson image that I had, and that's all just there again with a paper clip. You see, it's all sort of truly interactive, this one. And then our skeleton turns over, journaling space, pages from the kit, and there's another one of the tabs. And this is another envelope. Now this particular one I forgot to mention, actually, this comes from Nik the Booksmith, and inside here we've just got bits of interest. So we've got this specimens of composite portraiture, we've got fingerprints, and we've got a title. So they're just all in there. It's all just bits that have been, you know, gathered that might be relevant to the case that's being studied. And this particular one's got a date on it of March 1927. There's another skeleton there from my porch prints. And then this is Tracy Fox evidence label, little tiny pocket. And this is Tracy Fox again. And I've aged this right up and torn the middle out. I have great fun doing that. And one of her evidence tags. And I'm not sure if this is a Tracy or Crafty Cat image, but there's an image there from one of the kits. another page tab, pages from the kit, again it's a foot. And then we've got recovered, little photo there. We've got a little flip out here. And again, all pages from the kit. And as we come over, this is from the Jack the Ripper book, just a journal card, police notice to the occupier. On the mornings of Friday the 31st of August, Saturday the 8th and Sunday the 30th of September 1888, women were murdered in or near Whitechapel, supposed by someone residing in the immediate neighbourhood. There you go, beware. And then on the other side, under this paper clip, we've got a faux postcard and a picture of a couple. So it's, you know, it's all bits that relate to various cases that Holmes has looked into. This is out of the Jack the Ripper. This is Florence Maybrook. Following James Maybrick's death on the 11th of May 89, his American-born wife Florence was arrested and charged for his murder. They might even be things that Holmes just wants to keep to remember. He might not necessarily have been involved in the case. Another little tab. And then here we've got an envelope that I've made from, there's lots of bits in there, from the map relating to the streets where Jack the Ripper was acting. And then in here we've got some of the Tracy Fox words, the crime words that was in her kit: missing, punishment, all those little words, they just go in there. And there's another one, consumption and other maladies. And then we've got how to read fingerprints, and there's another fingerprint, and there's another little word, hounds. And then we've got another photo, and we've got Holmes and Watson looking into this man here, and they're all just in there, interesting bits of ephemera in the envelope made from the map of the area. And then this was a big page that was in the Jack the Ripper book, and you know, it's quite a spooky looking street with the foggy street lamp and the cobbles and the old church. And I've just put a postcard behind there, and again I've put a paper clip, and this isn't actually a pocket, it is open both sides, so it's more of a belly band. And that little evidence tag from Tracy Fox was under there, along with this violence photograph. And then here under this bulldog clip we've just got how to become a successful detective, nothing in it. And then I've made this tie up envelope from an envelope with an added piece, so I just made the lining bigger. And in here again we've got all sorts of interesting ephemera. There's a fingerprint chart, there's another one of these Jack the Ripper Street tags, there's a letter, I think that's Tracy Fox, and that one. And I backed that so you can use it. There's an evidence. And then this is a description: age 30, height 5'9", eyes grey, straight nose, hair curly. Those bits were just in there. And we'll tie that back up like so. And then that was just under that clip, as was that one. And then we turn that over, whoops, and then on the other side under that same clip, because I've double printed all these pages, there's not a lot of writing space, so I've made this like notebook of lined coffee dyed lined paper, and I've put a label and it's just been stapled together, and that just goes under there. But then also under that clip I've added this from one of the kits. I can't remember now, the kit's got, you know, so interused, I don't know if it's from Amy's kit or from Tracy's kit, but there's 2 pieces of interest there. Whoops. And then as we go over, we got another one of these tabs, more pages from the kit. There's another one of these Tim Holtz like file folders. Okay, and inside that one we've got another piece from the Jack the Ripper book, the Stolen Tankard, Blackbird Dance Band. They're obviously of interest for some reason. There's another photo, and that was all in there. And then just on top of there, there's an advert that says burglars wanted. I thought that was really quite funny, a lot of fun. So that goes there. There's another one of my evidence envelopes here, and in this one we've got these leaves, these Tim Holtz die cut leaves. Don't know what relevance they had to the case, but obviously some, so they are in there. And then we'll close that down, put our paper clip back on. You see, in it, I've used a Tracy word there, unsolved. This is the back of one of those skeleton pages. This is just a journal card. I think this was a Tracy image. Journal page, kit pages again with a tab. And then as we come over, there's another one of these envelopes that I've made from the maps of, you know, where Jack the Ripper was hanging out. Coffee dyed inert to make, because it's only like magazine paper. And then again in here we have a photo, I think that's from the Tracy kit. Identity, information, health, disease and criminality, and another little tag. That's definitely from the Tracy kit. And that all then just closes up and goes under that rusty paper clip. There's another piece of map here, Jack the Ripper and where he was hanging out, and I've just stuck that to the back of that skeleton, and that's an image from my Strand magazine. And then here we've got more information. This is definitely from Crafty Cat Kit, and then I've put a Tracy word on that image, wanted. So it's a real crime information, hive of information about crime in this one. And then we've got, I believe this picture, I'm sure Amy told us this picture Carol supplied her with. So that's a UK image. And obviously Sherlock Holmes is and Jack the Ripper, they're all UK stories. Well, not stories, history. And this is part of the kit. And I've just made this into like a file information folder, and I've written case 1972 Smithers, 15th of Jan 08, and I've given it a code number just for fun. And then inside here we've got all of this stuff. So there's all these photographs, there's an information sheet, another one of these Jack the Ripper book tags. And this again is out of the Jack the Ripper book, Famous Crimes. We've got a faux postcard, not code, suspect record form. This, I believe, is from the Tracy Fox kit. Yeah, it's an expensive sheet, and again I've just inked all the folds to age that up a little bit. And then there's another one of those Tracy tags. So a lot of stuff in that envelope there, and that is paperclip there. This is what I said to you earlier about everything is removable. You can change, you know, the location of everything because it's all paper clips rather than sewn. And then on this one here we've got a victim picture and another Coroner's Office tag and a tab, number 4899. Picture of Sherlock, and then just here I've made a tuck spot with an old Victorian street on some packing paper. I put Baker Street on it from Tracy's kit, and then this is another piece out of her kit, which again I've had great fun aging up, inking and putting a hole in it. And then that is just tucked in there, and that is the end of that one. Then we just turn it over, tap it down, and add our rusty bulldog clip onto there for that one. So if either of those tickle your fancy, they're over in my shop now. My Etsy shop now. Stay safe. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye for now.